Hi, this is Kai from Kikai Craft, and I am sharing with you a few of the pens that I got myself towards December of 2024. And so I do try the pens out for maybe a week or more before I share. So when I unbox and review it with you, I am at a better place to share the experience. So during my travel last December, I got myself three pens, I think, two pens that were just sent to me while I was traveling, and one that was sent to Jakarta when I came back. And so today we are going to try one very special pen. Now, just to let you know, I got this particular pen. I wasn't really planning to buy it at the onset, but I got this pen because a few months ago when I was sharing my favorite, where is it? My favorite flex nib, which is now housed in an Urushi body. This is the A to Z flex nib. It's a beautiful flex nib. I get asked a lot of questions about this, where I got it and all of that. I was just extremely lucky that about two Peli Hubs ago, I was introduced to an Indonesian pen nib maker who made this nib. And he had super limited nibs available. I was just so lucky I was able to get one that was available that time. But since then, I have not seen him release or restock this nib. And so, when I was sharing this nib with a fountain pen community, one of the people asked me how it compared with the Pilot FA nib. And that intrigued me. So bear in mind, this was like months ago. But very recently, during my trip, I did chance upon an opportunity to get myself a Pilot custom heritage with an FA nib. Okay, so let's go ahead and unbox it. We'll do the usual route. I'll unbox it so you see a little bit of what's included in the packaging, and then I'll show you the pen. I'll do a size comparison, and then we'll do a writing sample so that you can compare and see for yourself. So when I got this particular pen, I got it in this box. It's your usual Pilot box. When you open it up, it comes with a clam. I think that's what you call this particular packaging. Again, very usual Pilot packaging. It came with a cartridge. It's a cartridge converter pen. It came in this plastic sleeve. It had the usual literature, including a how-to, like how to fill it with ink. And it came with a nice, lovely converter. Now, I haven't used this converter because I had an extra cartridge that time, and I used it with that. I haven't used this. It looks very, very interesting. So it's like a pump action, almost like a vacuumatic, I think. Not really a piston, because a piston you'll need to turn the knob. This one you'll need to sort of pump it into your pen. And then of course it came with the tag. So this pen that I'll be sharing with you is the Custom Heritage 912 with a 14 karat nib. It's a 14 karat FA nib. All right. So that's all of the packaging. Time for me to show you the pen. Oops, did I show it already? Okay, sorry. Here we go. Here is the pen. It's quite an understated pen. It's in black. I'm pretty sure it comes only in this color, but if I'm mistaken, please do let me know in the comments below. It is, how long is this thing? Let me get my ruler. So about 14 centimeters in length when it's capped. It has flat ends, which I think you should expect when you see that it's a custom heritage Pilot. It has a rhodium trim, which means it's silver, and it has flat finials, nothing really on the top, if you can see, and nothing at the bottom either. The cap itself has a silver clip. This is described by Pilot as a sword clip, sword shaped clip, and it has rings on it, a thin ring on the near the top finial, another thin band near the mouth, and you'll see right there on the wider band, you'll see Pilot Japan, then you'll see Custom Heritage 912. Don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. And then it has a thin band near the bottom finial. It also has a sticker that tells you what nib it has, so this is an FA nib, which is why I got it in the first place. And when you uncap it, you'll see the nib. This is a well-known nib. It used to come at a larger nib size, a 15 if I'm not mistaken, with was it the 723? I didn't quite get that. I read a few reviews and I found that this size 10 nib is actually softer than the older model. So this is how it looks. You'll see that it has cutouts on the sides, which tells you it's a flex nib. The section itself is black. It has another rhodium ring there right above the thread, and when you remove it, you'll see it has a cartridge on it. I filled this up with Wearing Gold Geppetto, a gift by another fountain pen collector in the Philippines. Okay, so this is how it looks. Let's go ahead, do a little bit of a size comparison with other commonly collected pens, both beginner and intermediate and maybe even advanced. Ta-da! And then I will compare it with a few other Pilot pens that I have in my collection. Okay, so I want to compare it in size with, can you see it clearly? Okay, I want to compare it in size with the Esterbrook ST. This is Winter White, with the Mont Blanc Calligraphy Lacquer Burgundy. This is the Platinum 3776. It's a Platinum 3776 collaboration project with Wagner, I think 2016, could be wrong. Then we have the Muji, which is gaining popularity, the Jinhao 82, I think, which is roughly the same length as your Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and of course the Kaweco. All right, I think this is quite a good mix of pens. I'm pretty sure you have one or two of these in your collection. Okay, so lengthwise, when it's capped, it is definitely longer than, lovely comparison, longer than your Kaweco and your Jinhao. I could say it's about the same length as your your Platinum 3776, maybe a tad longer. Okay, so this is how it compares when it's capped. Now this is very important for you to know in case you have your pen cases and your pen storage. But when it comes to the writing experience, you want to see it uncapped. So let's go ahead and compare the length uncapped. So this is one of my larger pens, and this is how it looks uncapped. It's also uninked. This one is roughly the same size as the 146, the Mont Blanc Meister Stock 146. This is the pen that we are looking at today. So let's put that there. Then you have your 3776. Beautiful nib on this one. I love this one. I love the color in that as well. Then you have your Muji and your Jinhao 82. Okay. So if you compare it this way, I can say that definitely the 3776 is shorter. So if you have a Platinum 3776, it'll be shorter than this, which means when you write with this is how it'll look. And when you write with this is how it'll look. So it's roughly the same experience, it's the same feel to my hand at least. None of them feel heavier than the other. So let's put this beautiful pen away and compare it with the Kaweco when it is posted. So obviously just uncapped it will not be longer, but if it's posted, you want to see. All right, so if you use your Kaweco posted, that means you put the cap at the bottom or the finial over the finial, lower finial. It is definitely going to be a longer pen. Now I do share this whole thing with you so you know how it'll land on your hand. Okay, there we go, just so you see. Let's go ahead and cap these. Now I do want to share with you how it looks against my other Pilot pens. And then when we do the writing sample, we will compare it with a few other Flex nibs that I have, including my favorite A to Z. So let's go ahead and put it there. Unfortunately, my Flex, EF Flex from Esterbrook is uninked today, but I might be tempted to do a dip test for you. Okay, so let's put this aside. This is one of the prettiest STs. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look at my other Pilot. So I have only 3 other Pilots. Yeah. This is the Pilot Justice. Okay, this is the 1979, I think, version. You'll know because it's still rated. I'll put a link up there to my unboxing and review of this. This is another Flex nib, and you can adjust the flexiness of the nib by adjusting that little bar right there. Goes up, it becomes more stiff. Goes down, it becomes flex. Okay, so that's the Pilot Justice. Then I also have, this one. Wait, let me talk about this one first. So this is the Pilot Mew Black Stripe. This is also 1970. Is it 1971? It has the integrated nib, no flex at all. It's a stiff nib, but it's a very pretty piece. Okay, now this one is called the Pilot Ilabo Falcon. Okay, and is it? Yeah, the Pilot Ilabo or the Pilot Falcon. And it is an older piece, 1970, maybe even a little older than that. And it's often confused with the Pilot FA. Why? Because the Pilot FA is actually short for Pilot Falcon, but this is also a Pilot Falcon. Now, don't be confused. Although both might have like a flex feel to it, the flex feel is very, very different. The nibs look very different. So just so you see, the Falcon, Pilot Falcon, is called the Pilot Falcon pen because of the way the nib is shaped. It's like a falcon's beak. The Pilot FA or the Pilot Falcon nib is called the Pilot Falcon in Japan. But the shape of the nib is different. So this one has cutouts to it. This one does not. This was released sometime early 1970s, this particular pen. But this one, and there are new iterations of this, by the way. This one is a fairly new nib. It was released, 2024? It's fairly recent because it is on the 912 body. There's an older version that's on the 723 body, I think. Pilot fountain pen users, do correct and educate in the comments below in case I spout inaccuracies, because the Pilot history is quite convoluted and there's so many input in those. So I just really wanted to show you the difference between these two. Okay, so the Pilot Falcon pen and the Pilot Falcon nib are two different ones. The pen has the nib that looks like a falcon's beak, and the one with the nib, the falcon nib, has the cutouts on the side. This is definitely more flex than this, although this one still has its bouncy feel. Okay, so lengthwise, this is how they all look. This is the tallest. It's also the newest. This, and this are 1970 pens. All right, so I'm just going to show them for a sec, and then we're going to go and do writing samples so we can see how it flexes. Okay, so if you see a light difference, that's simply because I paused the recording a bit because I need to fix a few pens. Light in Jakarta is kind of wonky, especially during rainy season. Okay, so I wanted to show you how this writes, so let's move these away. This one too. I don't know, maybe you should do a dip for this as well, just so you see the difference. This one as well, maybe a dip for this. Yeah, I guess. So you can see the difference with the flex nibs of Pilot. And also, so you see how it compares with my favorite flex nib with the Mont Blanc calligraphy flex, not the curve, but the actual flex. Let's also do a dip for this. We'll use the same ink for those that are uninked. Currently, I'm doing Waringal Geppetto or Geppetto, whichever way you want to pronounce that. That's fine. Okay, so we'll be using an endless pen notepad, which is another gift to me. Just to let you know, first time I used the endless pen paper, it was not very, very good to me, but recently it's gone and done much better. All right, so I'll just do it here. Okay, so let's go ahead and scoot you in. Okay, I don't know how the light difference will show. Okay, so again, it's the one with the cutout. It's the size 10 nib. All right, so let's go ahead and write here. I want to make sure you see it. So this is the Pilot. Okay, so there is some railroading sometimes that happens. So let's go ahead and do 912. Railroading is when the feed, which I believe is plastic on this one, does not or can't really release ink as quickly as you can write. Okay, with the FA. So this is no pressure, some pressure, and a lot of pressure. So you can see it railroads because it can't really handle. So you have to go like really slow. Okay, not bad. Oh, you see what I mean? It kind of feathers on this paper. So that's how it looks. Let's go ahead and compare it with the Ilabo. I'm just going to do a dip because I don't really want to ink this. So we're just going to do a dip, make sure that it has ink. It's going to be a little juicier than I want, but fine. Okay, so this is the, oops. So this, okay, so it looks like a fail, but this is definitely thinner. This is in, what is it, soft extra fine. Okay, so there's some flex, but not really a lot. I think the flex for this actually really shows when you do smaller writing. No pressure, some pressure, a lot of pressure. Okay, just so you know, I'm okay to put in a lot of pressure because number one, they're my pens. Two, I have used them a bit, so I know how much pressure I can actually apply. Okay, this is the Pilot Justice. Again, I got this because of how it's also a flex nib. I think this one, I'm not sure if it has an ebonite feed. I think it does. The older version does. Which means it should be able to manage. Okay, let me see if it does. I have my encyclopedia beside me. Sometimes I do write the information down. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm looking through this, where I put in a lot of the information. Okay, so it's a 1979 release. It has a blue feed. Doesn't really say. Maybe it's plastic. Okay, well, I do have a review on it. I don't know if I mentioned it there. I hope I did. So let's go ahead and write. This is a much softer experience than the Alabo. Okay, no pressure, some pressure, a lot of pressure. Oh, this is a good time for me to use one tool that I also just got from my trip to the Philippines. Okay, that's how it looks. So far, if you can see, so much feathering. Okay, but anyway, did it bleed? It's bleeding, and a little bit on the next paper too. Okay, so you'll see that the FA is definitely a winner when it comes to this. Elabo was a bit scratchier. Justice was nice and smooth, but still not as wide a light variation as the FA. Let's go ahead and try it with the Esterbrook. This is the Esterbrook Flex Nib EF Flex. I'm going to use the same ink. Okay, there's a lot of cleaning that's going to happen after this. Okay. Just have to make sure that the feed and the nib. Okay. So this is the Esterbrook. I'm just going to write ST. This is very, very juicy. EF Flex. No pressure, some pressure, a lot of pressure. Do not put a lot of pressure on pens that you're testing in the shop. I don't think the shop owner or the user or the owner of the Flex Nib, if you're at a pen meet, is going to appreciate that. So I only managed to do it on mine because these are my pens. So, okay, let's go ahead and try the Mont Blanc. This is very juicy. I see a lot more line variation here actually. But this paper is not helping us too much. Okay, so this is Mont Blanc. It has a different ink in it, and this is the calligraphy. Flex. Okay, no pressure. Some pressure. A lot of pressure. And also some railroading apparently. That's the thing with this Mont Blanc, just to let you know. You really need to be very careful with how you use it, or else it'll railroad a lot. And just for fun, let's go ahead and use the Nakaya with a platinum nib. this one has an elastic nib. So this is the Nakaya. And it has a platinum elastic. No pressure, some pressure, a lot of pressure. The problem with this one though is when you put in a lot of pressure, the feed sort of touches the paper too. So this is more like a bouncy nib. And now this with, actually the important bit here is this nib, the A to C. So we're gonna put it on top. This is no pressure at all, just gliding. Okay, now I'm gonna put in a little bit of pressure. This is like almost no pressure. No pressure, some pressure, a lot of pressure. This one has a, well, has a disappearing ink apparently. This one has an ebonite feed with some railroading if you really push it. Also, I'm not sure if I have a lot of ink in it left. Let's go check. Oh, I still do. So maybe need to push it a little more. When you do flex, it's gonna really eat up your ink. Okay. I need to be extra careful with this because the nib is like, oh, such an investment. Okay, so this is how it all compares. In terms of pressure, I have to say this one and flex and snap back. So snap back is really its ability to move from a thin line to a fat line. In terms of snapback, A to Z still the winner. But as you can see, FA didn't have much railroading, if any at all. Neither did Elabo, but this one had not a lot of variation. Of all of them, the one that railroaded quite a bit, and it is quite consistent in any other writing experience, is the Mont Blanc Calligraphy Flex. Nakaya is a bit like Elabo in the sense that it doesn't give a lot of flex, although it does give more than your Elabo. The smoothest one, still A to Z. I mean, A to Z is my winner. I don't know why it railroaded there. It rarely does. I'm not sure if it's the ink this time. Okay, so there is how it looks. This paper, I had high hopes for you, paper. Maybe it's not really good for flex nibs. Okay. So all in all, as much as I like the Pilot 912 FA, and I do like it, it is still just second to my A2Z 14K Flex. Both are really good. If you can't find an A to Z 14K Flex, a Pilot 912 FA is an option for you, like a really, really good option. Let me zoom you out a little. Okay, there we go. And since the A to Z 14K Flex is, again, don't look at the body. I just move the body around because the Flex is a Jovo, has a Jovo housing to it. So having this nib, it's like it spoils a lot of flex nibs for me, but the Pilot 912 FA is a very, very good alternative. It's like a close second. Oh yeah, I wanted to check something. 1 second, I do have, hold up, I need to find it. A new toy, if I can find it. Give me a second. Here's my new toy. This is a line measure from Dominant Industry. Okay, so it's supposed to check the lines or the thickness of your nibs. Okay, so I haven't actually used this so much. I would say, is this dry already? Okay, it's relatively dry. So you have to like sort of compare like this, I think. Okay, so, all right. So the 14K flex, the A to Z, comes from 0.5 and it goes all the way to, let's go thickest, maybe 1.2. Yeah, so 0.5 to, 0.5 to 1.5 at the thickest. Yeah, 0.5 to 1.5 at the, oh, this is so cool. Thing is, I haven't really used this measuring tool. So we're going to use my very trusty. So this one is 0.5 to 1.5. Cool. And then the 912 FA, let's use here. Okay, so it's quite thick actually. Yeah, like a 0.6, I would think. Is it a 0.6 or a 0.5? It's a little thicker than a 0.5. But yeah, let's put it at 0.5. And then at its thickest, maybe here. So is it 1.5 or 1.6? Maybe. Well, that's kind of cool. So a 1.7. Oh, that's so cool. So you can compare it like this. So it's not 1.5, but rather 1.7. Is it 1.8? Could be 1.8. Let's go compare here. What is that? Oh, that's 1.9. 1.9 or 1.7? Okay, I'm just going to go for 1.7 for the A to Z. So this is all real time, okay? So 0.5 to 1.7. And then this is also 0.5. And now we're going to check if it's a 0.7 as well. Okay, 0.7 or a 0.9. Okay, it's a little short of 0.9. What about here? Yeah, a little short. So I think roughly the same line difference, like comfortably so. Although the 14K flex can go to 1.9. Okay, so with a bit more flex. So let's just write this, possibly a 1.9. This one is 0.5 to 1.7. And then I do want to compare it with the calligraphy. So for Mont Blanc calligraphy, 0.5 is this? 0.6, maybe a 0.6. Sideways. Sideways, it's a 0.5. Okay, but this way, yeah, 0.6. Let's try here. Now, if I try it like this, this has to go a little thinner. So let's just do the same. So 0.5 maybe. It's actually a bit beyond 0.5. So maybe a 0.6. It says thicker lines, 0.6. And then for flex, 0.7, maybe a 1.8, but it railroad, so I'll put it at 1.7. So calligraphy is 0.6 to 1.7. The rest you can see they're pretty thin already. Okay, so in terms of line variation, the A to Z 14K Flex is roughly the same as the Pilot 912FA. It can go a little wider with some railroading at times. To be honest, I rarely get this, so I don't know what happened here. Yeah, so again, if you're looking at my pens and you have fallen in love with A to Z like I have, and it's so hard to get it, go ahead and get yourself a Pilot 912 FA. Pretty much a very like similar experience. This just feels like you're really playing with brush. This one, you still feel that you're playing with a pen. Okay? All right, so I hope that you have found this helpful as you go and check your nibs and your flex nibs. I think I'm going to do a flex nib comparison sometime soon. I'll bring out all my flex nibs and play with them a bit. All right, so this is Kai from Kikai Craft. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great day or a restful evening. Bye, everyone.